The New York Knicks are taking on the San Antonio Spurs after the Spurs defeated the reigning champs, Oklahoma City Thunder, in 7 games. Game 7 was phenomenal, so we'll talk about that and preview the NBA Finals as we gear up for Game 1 on Wednesday night. Well, now, Sean, Nate, and Griff back with you guys in another episode. First, go online, I guess, quietly in this Game 7. The Spurs were able to get away with the win in a hostile environment. They won 111-103. Victor Wembanyama, and the Spurs, their first real postseason experience with this group. They were able to get over the hump and get to the NBA Finals. So that's pretty cool with that. Uh, so now they're going on to play the New York Knicks. But before we get on to the finals and things like that, talk about Game 7. Give you guys thoughts on things. What did you guys kind of see? Was there anything different that Oklahoma City could have done or should have done? Possibly, win the game and repeat as champions.
No, I mean, the thing with OKC, I don't think necessarily there's anything different. I think they just needed to get healthier. I mean, they were obviously missing guys. Mitchell was a huge, absence there because I felt like you kind of, I mean, they mixed in different rotations, like kind of throwing in Isaiah Joe, seeing what he could do. Obviously, the biggest one being J Dub, not being out there. I think that's really a huge piece of what it was for them too. And just plain and simple, Chet has to look himself in the mirror, and kind of, own up to that one because that's just atrocious. 32 minutes on the floor, whatnot, 4 points, 4 boards, only shots taken in the first quarter. Like that's my thing too. Is just like I mean, basically just giving up in the second half, if you will. So for that, I mean, yeah, SGA was doing his thing. Obviously, I think he was trying to wheel him back, and any shape or form that he possibly could. 35 points again, another game 7, high, I think, for OKC, whatnot. But yeah, I mean, they played great. I mean, you just got to kind of tip your cap to. I really think the Spurs just put together a great game. Like guys like Champagnie, I think, just absolutely nuclear. Besides just Wemby, like Dylan Harper looks amazing. Doesn't look like a rookie whatsoever. So it's just you're getting some of that contribution. I mean, we know the podcast what he was doing defensively. I mean, he's doing everything he can to at least slow Shea down, even though it's not an easy task there. But I wouldn't say necessarily OKC had to change a lot. I think a lot of it was just getting healthy. But I think what you got to do is really give San Antonio a lot of credit. Like you mentioned, going into a hostile environment, Game 7 in Oklahoma City, really just like not looking nervous, not looking, too big for the moment there. So yeah, a lot of kudos to the Spurs, and we'll get into it. But I think they'll have a very successful rest of the playoffs.
I'm similar to that. I think, props to OKC. They had a amazing season again. Started off the year like damn near undefeated, and then kind of coasted the rest of the regular season. And it's just unfortunate. I think that they were starting to play some of their worst basketball at the most important time. Specifically, just some of the role players, Lou Dort, Chet, like you said, guys that just really needed to step up during this time and help Shea out. And granted, I mean, Shea didn't even, I wouldn't even say he had like bad games, but just not what we expected of him. Last night he obviously had 35. He had a good game, but there were some other games this series where he had like under 20, which I don't think anyone really would have thought that. So, it's hard as it is to try to repeat and go to the finals, but it's even harder when you got to play a team like the Spurs, who Wemby was just on another level, and yeah, like Champagnie and some of these other guys are hitting their stride and hitting shots too. So definitely one of the most exciting series I think I've seen in the last like 5 6 years. I think I saw it was like the first time that the Western Conference Finals has even gone to Game 7 since like 2018. So it's been a while since we've had a pretty, tight series between these West teams. And it was just fun to watch. I mean, I hope we get this for the next like 4 or 5 years, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, I think we will. I think, both these teams that matched up well against each other, not only, in this series, but also in the regular season. You know, there's things I think my takeaways from this Game 7, like you guys both said, like it was difficult for the Thunder to do anything really because, I mean, Shea had to do it all. It was basically like, in order and for OKC to win this game, it was going to have to go off for 50 points. That, just I don't know what he was doing out there. He got dunked on and then disappeared. That's what happens. And so, Jason Butler stepped up. Ben Williams, he was getting it a little bit. But yeah, just every time the Thunder would try to respond and get back in the game, San Antonio had a response themselves. And I do want to say probably the it might be. I don't know about the blockers here, but I mean, it was definitely a pretty monumental moment for the Spurs. But that Luke Cornett chase down block, I think definitely kind of gave them the rest of the momentum for the game because, I mean, I didn't even know Luke Cornett had that in his bag. I'm gonna be honest. I didn't know he could do that. So, this
I never did that either.
yeah, no, I don't think he did. Just to see him do that, I mean, it was a crucial time because when he came out of the game, he had 5 fouls, and so if we Luke Cornett come in for those couple of minutes, get that block, that was key, and I think that was really the play that decided the game and gave the Spurs the win here. I guess what else do you guys see from before we go more into the Spurs, but what else do you guys see from the Thunder? I guess down the line, do they need to add a piece? We know they have like I think the 12th pick, the 17th pick in the draft, right? Do they need to try and trade that and get a bigger piece, maybe like a Giannis or somebody like that, or do they need to just run it back and try again next year?
I mean, there's kind of two ways to go about it because I think you really do have to take a hard look at the mirror and kind of look at Chet this year. I mean, Wemby, Wemby took those matchups personally, and it's like I get that obviously you can't just like game plan around one single team, in the Spurs, but like I have a really good feeling that as long as these two teams stay healthy throughout the season, like for the next 5 years, like you're mentioning, Nate, I think we could easily see this being that playoff series, for a while there. And so, yeah, I don't think you necessarily have to like go crazy with getting a Giannis necessarily. I don't think. I mean, we know they're not that far away. I think if they would have got that game 7, I think they just repeated as NBA champions. So no, I don't think they have to blow it up. But in my opinion, the biggest piece of that puzzle is you really got to look at Chet. It's like because I think you got a good piece in Hartenstein. I really think people were saying he was going to get kind of walked all over with Wemby, and I mean, yes, Wemby still has way with just about anybody on the court. Didn't really matter, but Hartenstein, in all fairness, did hold his own there. With Wemby a little bit, obviously not saying you're getting shut him down or anything, but I really think with that, I mean, if you can find a piece there and maybe trade some of your other kind of younger assets, what you have right now, you can get potentially another big guy, potentially um, there's somebody to put with SGA and J-Dub. So I mean, I really don't think you're far off. I mean, they just won a championship the previous year. Like I think there's still so many good pieces with the Thunder. But for me, really, I mean, yeah, if you're to get this type of chat, go up against Wemby every time, hang it up, dog. Like it's not good. So
It is hard after like thinking about it after what just happened in game 7. Like, J Dub's gonna come back and give them that, a little bit more offensive presence. But it did seem like they just needed some more shot makers. I know Jared McCain was an addition that they got this season that really did help them. But, you gotta look at their bench too. They didn't really play Isaiah Joe or Andy Wiggins or Aaron Wiggins, my fault. And maybe there's just some room that they can try to find another shooter to add to some of that depth to help Shea, space the floor a little bit more. Because I mean, their defense wasn't awful really in the postseason. It was just up until they had played Wemby, where it's like it's kind of hard to make sure that you're clogging the paint as much as you can when one of your second best option is not on the floor. So I think they just gotta find a couple more shooters in the off season and then come back again. They're going to be a top team in the West next year. So I'm not really too concerned, but it is with their salary how it's working. I know they're going to have to be paying like J Dub and Shea a lot of money and Chet too. So I don't know what they're going to end up doing with those picks if they even want to keep them or not. So I'm looking forward to see what they actually end up doing there.
Those extensions kick in, yeah, for Chet and J Dub next year. So, that'll be big. I hot take. We haven't done hot take Mondays in a while, but I have a hot take here. I really think that Sam Presti's going to cook something up, and they somehow, some way get into the top 5. They get Cam Boozer. I think so. I think Hartenstein and Chet, it's a good backcourt duo. But I think with the Wembanyama and the Wilkes brothers, they do need more shot creation because we all saw that this paint is going to be, blocked up, clogged up. So I think that they're going to get, because they got a plethora of guards, right? They have a bunch of guards: Jeremy King, Case Wallace, AJ Mitchell, Isaiah Joe, Aaron Wiggins, who we didn't see really much this postseason, which I was surprised about, especially of how much he contributed last year. So yeah, I do think though that some way, somehow, Sam Presti is going to make some moves, maybe use that 12th pick to try to trade up. Yeah, and Lou Dort, I'm not an Oklahoma City fan, but Lou Dort, appreciate your services. You're gone. You're gone. You're not be shit anymore. I promise you. Yeah, just because all those guards that they have, yeah, you're gone. We saw, multiple times in the series that I wouldn't say necessarily he got played off the court, but it was like he wasn't needed. So I am curious to see, how the Thunder kind of respond. I think regardless if they did end up winning Game 7, and went to the, finals, I think still changes are gonna come, because of that second apron is creeping up on them. So yeah, I am interested to see, how that kind of goes. At the same time, I guess kind of scared to see because they do have a lot of them picked and a bunch of trade up assets that they could use to their disposal. So we'll see and find out. So then that sets up the NBA Finals. You got the Spurs and the Knicks, rematch 1999. And funny, I don't know if you guys saw it, but I've seen a bunch of things. Last time this happened, Tim Duncan, he was faced the Spurs. He was 22 years old. We got the resemblance now. Wemby, 22 years old, first playoff, run. I think it's the league, but run. I think it's going to be a good series, but I think it's to get ugly. The reason why I think it could be good is because of the way the Knicks have been rolling recently in this postseason. But they don't have a response for Wemby. I mean, if you're gonna think that Carl Anthony Towns is going to do something against him, no. Mitchell Robinson, I mean, possibly, but I really think so. Yeah, just what you guys was initial predictions about the upcoming finals here that we got.
Yeah, I think this will be one of the better ones we've had, in a while now for sure, just because, like you mentioned, the Knicks have been playing some of the best ball, like basically almost you could say anybody in the playoffs right now. Granted different opponents and everything, but yeah, you gotta give kudos to them for that. And the Spurs, obviously, I mean, we just know how dominant they've been, how the young kind of core has stepped up and really delivered. I mean, it is really truly kind of remarkable how young the team is and kind of what they're doing there. So yeah, definitely looking forward to that. But I agree with you there, Sean. Like Cat's not doing anything at all to stop Wemby. Like it's gonna get ugly down there. We saw what Stephon Castle's capable of. Defensively. Champagne, just an absolute bucket. I mean, hard. I just think right now, regardless of how good the Knicks are playing offensively and defensively, I just think the Spurs have a little bit too much talent and a little bit just too much going for them, like on the defensive side of it, where I think they can really affect the Knicks offense and it really give them a hard time. And so for that, that's why I would probably go. Probably like Spurs. I still think the Knicks get a game or 2 for sure, but I would be shocked to see them get more than 2, to be honest. I think it really is just how good the Spurs are and literally what we've seen, like, with the paint right now, if Wemby's in, that is, if he's not in foul trouble, nobody it's closed. That's not happening. We saw SGA have, like, a basic, wide open attempt and saw Wemby kinda coming over and basically pass out of it immediately. And then they just kinda wasted, the ball for another 15 seconds and all that. So, I just think right now is the Spurs, as good as the Knicks are playing, the Spurs are playing just as good against better competition, so I think it'll go 2 ways. I mean, really, it's gonna be, are they kinda beaten up after that series? But I don't really see that. I see them, like, almost more energized now, and so I think we'll get a really, kinda fired up inspired squad from the Spurs. I think Pop, he's basically still coaching the team as well. He's still up there doing his thing. So I just think even though they're younger, they'll have the experience. I think they will have a little bit to just kind of chip on their shoulder and like a little bit of kind of other guys giving them the experience, letting them know what's going to happen, kind of how to stay composed in those type of moments. And so, yeah, I think the Spurs, like I said, 4-1, 4-2, but it should be a good series because if the Knicks are able to keep up offensively with them, hey, who knows? Who knows? We'll see. We'll shout out Zach Smith. He might be going crazy.
Yeah, is Harrison Barnes bringing that championship DNA for the Spurs? I mean, uh, I don't hate that. I think if there was one team though that could pull this off, it's probably the Knicks. I think, as much as they shoot the three, like maybe they won't have to worry as much about paint presence. And I think their size with Cat and Mitch Robinson, like could be, they're a little bit bigger bodies than Chet and Hartenstein. So I think they could potentially give Wemby some issues, but it's gonna be a battle of just who wants it more, honestly. I think both these teams are super hungry. So um, obviously earlier in the season the Knicks won the NBA Cup against the Spurs. So I think what'd you say, Castle said that they're trying to get their get back now. So from that. So it's gonna be I think game one is going to tell a lot, being in San Antonio. If the Knicks can upset, it, I think sets the tone for the rest of the series of, you're going to have to try to take one then in MSG, which is going to be a challenge in itself. So, but if anyone could do it, it's probably going to be Wemby. It doesn't seem like he's scared at any moment. So I right now would probably, and as much as I love watching Wemby and the Spurs, I might have to go with the Knicks. Knicks in 6 or
It's
7.
crazy. Whoa, yeah, 6 is
Okay,
crazy.
I'll say Knicks in 7. I want it to go 7. I just want as much of this series as possible. And yeah, I like the Knicks though. And Sean, you're looking at me funny.
Yo, yeah.
You're looking at me funny, but I'm telling you, Jalen Brunson, he's a straight up dog out there. I think he has an amazing series, and I think his surrounding cast. Don't let Josh Hart get another 30-point game. If a guy like him goes off, I don't even know what the Spurs are gonna do.
Yeah. Grant, what'd you say? What was your prediction?
I got Spurs, and I'll go 6. I had them in 5 or 6.
Okay, Spurs in 6, Knicks in 7. Oof. I think it's Spurs in 5. I'm not gonna lie. I know they played earlier in the NBA Cup, but here's the outlier that I think a lot of people are forgetting. Wemby was coming off that injury, and he wasn't even starting. Fournette was starting. Wemby was coming off the bench. So I think that's going to be a little bit different now that he's starting. He's going to be playing 40 minutes instead of he was kept at 25. So I think that's going to be a little bit different. But man, I mean, I think it'll be a good series. I think here for me it's two matchups. Brunson against the San Antonio Guards. If Brunson can be able to play the way that he's playing and continue the way that he's been not only like scoring but also like distributing to his teammates. I think the Knicks will definitely have a chance. But then on the other side, San Antonio guards, like you got so many spot captains, Kevin McPhail, De'Aaron Fox, Dylan Harper, like they can all sit and play defense, and defend. And you're not dealing with the taller guard like they deal with in Shea. You're dealing with a smaller guard. So I think that'll be to see. And then down low, like you guys mentioned, like Cat versus Wemby, will Stu like on paper, like right now, okay, you take a 7'4" dude versus a 6'11", 7-foot dude. There's no, there's no points. But I think Cat will be up to the challenge. I really do. I think that he'll hold his own. And I like the fact that he's not. Both of these big don't play inside. Like their main game isn't inside. They can be outside and shoot the ball. So I think that brings another element to both these teams. I think just the contrasting styles. I think it's make it interesting for this finals. I'm excited to see it. And then another question I got for you guys. Just I guess do you get is there you mentioned like Josh Hart. You guys see like another player, on either side that could possibly break out, not only, in this series, but maybe, game one to kind of set the tone for the going forward.
I mean, from the Knicks, I gotta go OG. I mean, we saw what he was capable of before. I think he's capable of like a potential. I mean, not saying he will, but potential 30-point game. Um, and so I mean, if you get something like that from a guy, that that's where you can really change the series. I think, in my opinion, there. And so, yeah, especially for the Knicks, I'm definitely going there. Spurs, I really just think it's what you mentioned there, Sean. I just think it's a collection of the San Antonio guards, really. 'Cause I think if you can limit the 3-point shots, kind of like Dave was mentioning, they're a more 3-point shooting team, which definitely will play into their favor. However, are they gonna be able to knock them down? I think San Antonio's guards are elite. Defensively, I think they've been playing at elite level there. So we'll see, if the Knicks are able to even, continue to make those shots. Because if they can't, I think it's almost like a Boston scenario in the sense that, like, yes, they're very, very talented, but like they can live and die by that three a little bit. And I think if that's kind of where you need to get, say, I mean, as for San Antonio, you kind of want obviously them, trying to force them into the paint. So I mean, it's almost like over committing on every three. And honestly, I think that will play in their favor, and that's why I think for that, I'm going, 4-2, almost 4-1. So
I think in terms of New York, outside of OG, he's gonna be a big factor. I would probably say that like he's gonna have one of the biggest challenges trying to guard Wemby's, and then also if they keep him in more of like that, point forward role where he's kind of facilitating the offense and looking for Brunson and looking for McHale and these other guys, like he's gonna have a lot, and he's gonna actually, gonna really have to focus in this series, obviously. But for the Spurs, I mean, you could say a number of guys just because like they all haven't really been there, but I think it would be guys like Champagny, shooters who need to hit their shots in timely situations. And then I mean, I'm thinking like a guy like Harper, honestly. It's crazy to say just because he's a rookie, but if he can play to the level that he has been playing in this finals, like he's gonna be a massive factor for them. I think he is probably their one of the best bench players in this whole series. So it's if he can average 15 and give them great minutes, he's gonna help the Spurs immensely, I think, offensively and defensively. And it's crazy because their whole team is an average of age of like 22. So there's really, like you said, Grant, 4 or 5 different guards that could play a big role for him. So but game one I think is gonna be very telling of how the rest of the series might go, and I'm excited for this upcoming Wednesday.
Yeah, game one on Wednesday. We are in San Antonio for games one and two, and then flip it over to New York for three and four. But game one predictions. What do we think? We thinking it's going to be Spurs get it at home, or can the Knicks? And Knicks have had what about a week and a half of rest now. The Spurs they had like 3 days. So, what you guys think? What's predictions? I'm gonna go Spurs, but I could see somehow, some way, if this ends up being how the Eastern Conference Finals they went them up early and then kind of put it together from the fourth quarter. I think you see that rust wearing on to get to the end of the game here, and it could make a memorable game. I'm picking the Spurs to take game one.
yeah, I mean, I think it kind of goes either way there in the sense that, like, you either get a team that's, like I said, to kind of beat up, tired a little bit, but I think they're going to be energized. I think playing at home, like in front of that crowd, I just think like it's going to be so electric in there. But I really think the Knicks give them a really good matchup. I think they've been waiting on this for a while now, like you said, have been off for week and a half or whatnot, just sitting there waiting. So it's like they're gonna be a little rusty too. But I think about how I think New York's just been waiting for this literally since '99. So it's like, well, this is all real now. So yeah, I think Spurs are able to get it done, but I really think the Knicks have a really, really solid first game there and give them a good fight.
I agree. I'll take the Spurs in this first game. I think, like you said, the energy for them is going to be super high. The crowd has been insane there, but I hope it's like a double overtime. Like thriller. And I think with it being game one, it's usually kind of like a feeler, but I do think from immediately from the jump, it's just going to be kind of chaos back and forth.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, hey, I hope, I think, yeah, last year, the Pacers were able to take game one, and the Thunder were kind of the wide favorites to kind of win that game. So it could be something like that, this year, where the Knicks come in and take game one and kind of make the series a little bit more interesting. So yeah, I definitely think, like I said, both these teams deserve this chance, rematching on the NBA Cup. So I think it's gonna be good, man. Hopefully, it's a long series before we get to the real nitty gritty of the dog days of the off season, free agency and the draft and things of that matter. Yeah, because once we get to like mid July, that's when you go on Twitter. I know for me, but I go on Twitter and you see all these, boohoo rumors and people just talking. It just gets annoying. It's like, just bring basketball back. Like, come on, cut the summer and let's bring basketball back. So yeah, so we will, continue to give you guys stuff as the finals go on. Game one is on Wednesday, and then we got game two on Friday. So it should be a good, interesting 2 games. Most looking forward to it. But yeah, we'll keep you guys updated and posted with everything, give our analysis. But until then, we'll catch you guys.